Hello all, I am Juby George and welcome back to our channel. Today we are going to discuss an important topic which is non-verbal communication, which is a subtopic under the communication module of Nta Ugc Net Exam Paper 1. So without much delay, let's get on to our video entirely on non-verbal communication.
Hi. So let's learn about non-verbal communication. Okay. So non-verbal communication is the communication without the use of spoken language. So in the last video on communication, we have discussed on verbal and non-verbal communication, the types of communication, and we have said in that video that verbal communication uses words while communicating, and the non-verbal communication, we don't use words or spoken language for communication. Instead, what we use for our communication. Let's see. And in non-verbal communication, it includes gestures. Okay. Then what? Then facial expressions, body positions, which is collectively known as body language. So instead of using words, what? How do we communicate? It is through gestures and facial expressions, and also through body languages. A person's daily communication, it is almost about 35% of it we communicate using language. Okay, and the remaining 65% we communicate with these gestures, facial expressions, and body positions. So 65% is almost a large part of our communication is basically with non-verbal communication. Even though we use language, our body positions and our facial expressions matter, and we communicate a lot with non-verbal communication. Yeah. So, and it represents two-thirds of all communications. Yeah, from the graph itself, we can understand that it contains almost two-thirds of our daily communication. So this is all. So this is about our introduction to non-verbal communication. Okay, so in non-verbal communication, you speak without the use of language. So now let's see what are the advantages of non-verbal communication. Okay, the first advantage is that it is complementary. What does it complement to? Okay, the non-verbal communication can complement a verbal message. Okay, while if you're speaking to someone and you are happy, you smile and you laugh, and this can complement the verbal message. So, non-verbal communication is complementary. Now, let's see the second one, easy presentation. Okay, consider of two people. First person is speaking without any signs or emotions. Second person with signs, symbols, emotions, gestures. Which one do you find as interesting? Of course, the second one, right? Because you tend to listen to that, and you can understand the idea more easily when the person speaks with body gestures and symbols or signs. Okay. Okay, I'll give another example. So in traffic signal, it's a signal, okay? What does the green light signify? That you can move, right? So this is a kind of easy presentation. Rather than a policeman standing and controlling the entire traffic, it's always good to have a traffic light, and it can give the correct message, and it is easy to convey and easy to use. So you can have easy presentation with non-verbal communication. Okay, so now the third one is it is an aid to illiterate people. Now everything has got an advantage and disadvantage, right? Now let's see what are the disadvantages of non-verbal communication. Often the messages get misinterpreted if you haven't given the correct signs or symbols. So there will be a distortion of information. Now the second one is lack of formality. Since the in non-verbal communication you use symbols and gestures, and it does not follow any rules. Okay, now the third one is difficult for long conversations. Of course, it can complement, non-verbal communication can complement to the verbal message. Of course it can complement, it can contribute, but it is too difficult for the long conversations, because a person can convey a long conversation, can convey a long message with spoken language, but it is really difficult to have long conversations or long messages without the use of words, but completely on gestures. It is not possible. Sometimes messages get misinterpreted, and so these are the three disadvantages of non-verbal communication. Now let's see the different types of non-verbal communication. So can include signs, symbols, proxemics, haptics, kinesics, vocalics, and body language. Okay, so these are the different categories of non-verbal communication, and in UGC net exam there was a question that asked like this: what is kinesics? What is kinesics? In a UGC net exam paper 1 question. So this part is important. Let's see what are each of these points. Okay. So the first one we are going to listen as to signs. Okay. So in signs, it include non-verbal communication, include employing audio or visual signs to communicate a message. So what are these signs? Okay. Sometimes you use audio signs, sometimes you use visual signs for communicating a message. Okay. So in audio signs, first you have seen a bell, a church bell ringing. What does it indicate? Okay, it indicates that the church service is about to begin. Or what does if a telephone rings? It indicates the message that someone is calling you, right? So audio signals can communicate message like the bells, like telephone, siren, buzzer, etc. So in the example, the prayer is communicated by ringing of bells. Even in temples, there will be bells and you will be ringing it, right? Yeah, in each of the cases, uh, all these audio signs can communicate a message. Now let's see the visual signs. So I have given an example here. What does this mean? The cigarette smoking and red ban on it. It means no smoking in this area. Smoking is prohibited, right? So visual signs are employed as a substitute for verbal communication. Sometimes this verbal communication is not possible. Like already I've said, a traffic light can indicate a message, which is a sign. Now, this smoking can indicate a message, which means that the red cross over the burning cigarette, it includes the message no smoking warning, and it's a warning message, right? So verbal communication can be substituted, sometimes can be substituted with this visual signs and audio signs as well. This proxemics, yeah, this is something interesting. Proxemics is the study of how humans make use of space when we are communicating. Okay, so basically this is something representative of how we use space. Human beings tend to create a space. Okay, consider here is a human being, and human beings tend to create a space around them. And this is so interesting that this is the study of how humans make use of the space around them while communicating. Okay, so this is the intimate. So consider this is here is a human being, and this is the orange one represented is the intimate space. Okay, which is about 1.5 feet. Okay, for example, consider you are attending a public meeting where a public meeting where a orator is speaking, and consider you are also talking to your friend. Okay, do you keep your friend at a distance of 25 feet? No, you will keep the orator at a distance of 25 feet, right? But you will keep your friend, your best friend, at 1.5 feet, right? That is the intimate space. Why? This is how humans make use of the space around them for communication, and the study of it is known as proxemics. So intimate is about 1.5 feet, which is so close. The closed ones you keep at a intimate space, and you don't feel awkward about it because they are so close to you. Next is the 1.5 feet to 4 feet, which is the personal space. Okay, mm, let me explain. So you keep your best friend at intimate space. So you can keep your best friend at intimate space, but you will keep your not so close friend at the personal space. A little bit distance there. There will be this little bit distance, right? So that space is the personal space. Now let's listen to the next space, which is a social space. Please mind of the A here. Okay, I'm sorry about it. Okay, so consider example of teacher and student. Uh, Often you tend to keep your teacher at a respectable distance. Okay, so that is the social space. And I've already said about a public meeting where a orator is conveying message, and that person will be at a great distance, that is about 12 to 25 feet, which is the public space. So humans make use of space around them, and this study is called the proxemics. Now the next one is the haptics. This is what we do every day. Like, this is study of interaction involving touch. Haptics, touch. The last one was proxemics, space. So proxemics, space, haptics, touch. So the word haptics has come from the Greek word which is haptikos, okay, which means touch, okay. And the study of touch, it included the hugs, handshakes, kiss, etc. So, what is kinesics? Kinesics is a term which was coined by Ray Wissel. Okay, and kinesics it signify the study of body movements and gestures. Okay, so it can be divided as emblem, illustrators, affective displays, regulators, and adapters. So let's see what are these, each of these. Okay, so what is emblem? It commonly recognizes signs, okay, and they have a verbal counterpart. So, finger on lips. In while you were studying your KG classes, your kindergarten, your teachers might have asked you to keep your finger on your lips, right? What does it indicate? That you have to keep quiet, that you won't talk in the class. So, the message, the verbal message that you won't talk has the non-verbal counterpart, which is to keep your finger on lips, which indicate this body movement or gesture indicate that you have to keep quiet, and the non-verbal sign has the verbal counterpart as well. So this is known as emblem. Now the second one is, which is illustrators. And illustrators are usually, they're used consistently to illustrate what is said. Okay. If you are teaching in a class, or if you are explaining to your friend that you have 5 apple, and you show and you extend your arm, uh, and you extend your palms, and you show your 5 fingers to indicate that you have 5 apples, which means that you are telling them that you have 5 apples, and the non-verbal message can deliver a verbal message, and it is the called as illustrators. So this body movement is called as illustrators. Now the next one is affective displays. Affective displays are usually facial expressions, okay. When you are angry and you stare at someone, you might have had experiences when teachers staring at you with angry faces. Mm. So such kind of angry stares or the wide eyes, when you are amazed or when you're wondered, your eyes become widened, right? So such kind of things are comes under the affective displays. Now the next one is the regulators. They are non-verbal messages, and the fourth one, okay, and that regulate, modulate, and maintain the flow of speech during a conversation. Okay, um, like nodding of head. What does it indicate? It is a facial expression. It is a body movement, and nodding of head agreement. Nodding of head indicate that you agree with what the next person is speaking to you, right? Yes. So they are called regulators. Now the last one is the adapters. They are postural changes and other movements that may or may not carry significant meanings. So here is an example: biting nails. When you have the viva exam, the oral viva exam, and you are in front of the invigilator, and sometimes you may bite your nails. And what does it indicate? That you are tensed, that you have tension, that you are nervous. The biting of nails indicate that you are tensed, and these comes under adapters. So all these basically it all include the body gestures and movements, and it is divided into 5 types. And this is and the study of it, the body gestures and the movements, is gone by the Ray Whistle, and it means kinesics. Okay, now let's see the next one, which is Oculus X. So Oculus X has relation to, and it is a study of eye movements, eye behavior, eye related non-verbal communication. Sometimes you are angry, you stare, so it is a eye movement. Sometimes you shorten your eyes, and you are so angry, and you widen and you shorten your eyes, the pupil movement. Okay, so all this comes under the eye, something that is related to eye movement. The and if it conveys a non-verbal message, it can come under oculesics. So haptics is touch, proxemics is study, kinesics is body movement, eye movement comes eye related movements, and contact comes under oculesics. When you are confident while you're speaking, you maintain eye contact. And sometimes if you tell lies, it is proven that the person may not maintain eye contact with the next person. So this is a very important field, and it is called as oculesics. Do you find it as interesting, right? Yeah. So the last one is the body language. And the body language is a type of non-verbal communication that completely relies on the body movements, okay, to convey the message. Sometimes these body languages, it can be consciously given or sometimes unconsciously. And based on it, it provides a message, and based on it, it is divided to, and the positive body language and negative body language. Firm handshake. If your handshake is so loose and so weak, it indicates that you are not confident enough. But if you are confident enough, you give a firm handshake to the next person. So this is all about body language. So until now, we have learned about what is non-verbal communication. It contains almost 2/3 of our communication. And non-verbal communication is a communication without the use of spoken language or without the use of words. And we have discussed the different types of non-verbal. So we have discussed the advantages, then we have discussed disadvantages, and finally the different kinds of non-verbal communication. I hope that this video helped you. So stay tuned to our channel for more videos. Thank you.